Episode 2 of We Were the Lucky Ones begins with Helena and Bella preparing to leave Radom. Sol, Helena's father, has made deal with a man to get them smuggled into the Soviet territory across the river. Nachuma, her mother, gives her a bundle of cash to pass the German checkpoints. It's revealed that Bella's sister also lives in Lvov. The two begin their long journey. They successfully pass the first checkpoint, bribing the officer and selling the story that Bella is pregnant and they're going to visit their family in Lvov. However, they are told to return at the second checkpoint. Helena tries to reason with the officer and trying to give him money, but he points the gun directly at her. She's shocked and they are forced to return. Bella is scared by the fact that the man turns towards the forest and they get off of the wagon. The man runs after them, trying to help them understand that he did not want to scare them. Bella refuses to go back and decides to go on foot towards Lvov, which is now only a kilometer away. Helena is reluctant and terrified but goes with her anyway. The man charts out a route for them. After Helena leaves, the next day Germans arrive to evict Sol, Nachuma, Mila, and Felicia. Mila and Felicia are sent to a trusted friend while Sol and Nachuma are given 30 minutes to leave with their belongings. Their neighbor is now a stranger to them. Sol procures a wagon for their belongings while Mila arrives at their friend's house, overcrowded with his own family members as refugees. Meanwhile, Addy's serving in the French military and he's writing his parents a letter. He swears that he will find them and that they all will be together again. Elsewhere, Helena and Bella are on foot, walking towards Lvov and staying close to the river when soldiers find them. They try to escape but to no avail. Helena decides to pose as silly girls who lost their way and want to go back to their family in Lvov since she hears the men speaking Russian, and it works. They are given shelter for the night. Meanwhile, there's a long line for lodging and Sol bribes a Polish government personnel, who now works for the Germans. The Kirks, or what's left of them, finally get a house in the old Polish quarters. Addy is trying to fake his demobilization papers by borrowing the captain's typewriter. The scene cuts to Jakub going back home in Lvov only to find Bella and Helena waiting at his doorstep. Helena explains that they peeled potatoes at the army camp for a week before Bella made a friend who helped them leave for Lvov. Jakub and Bella share an intimate bath where Jakub proposes to Bella. The Kirks prepare for Jakub and Bella's wedding ceremony. Jakub is able to find a rabbi and they enjoy their evening in relative peace. On the other hand, Adam meets Helena, but Helena conveys that her feelings have changed. She proposes to be friends instead and emphasizes that she wants to help the Polish underground forces that Adam works for secretly. October 1940. 10 months later, Addy is out of the army and is trying to escape outside Europe as a refugee, to be then able to find his family. He waits outside various embassies, but there's just too many people wanting to leave. He hears about the Brazilian ambassador who is a sympathizer to the Jews, but the Brazilian president is pro-Nazi. Still, Addy decides to take his chances and meets with the ambassador somehow. He tells him about his skills and asks for a way out. The ambassador tells him about one of the last ships going for Rio de Janeiro. As the episode closes out, Janek is arrested by the Soviets for filling out his citizenship as Polish despite being on Soviet soil, Soviet-occupied Poland. The episode review. This episode was equally poignant. At no point does the show fail our attention. It's perfectly paced with a strong plot and heartening characters, all of who showcase their best performances that bring the characters alive. This episode highlights, although in the show's classic way of focusing on subtleties, the German officer pointing a gun at Helena and enjoying his authority. The actor who played the soldier did a commendable job in portraying the emotion of superiority and authority by virtue of his birth just by a slight turn of his features, and what was barely a few minutes of screen time. It showcased the inherent feeling of superiority that the Wehrmacht, the German army, carry with themselves, reflective of the wider feeling of antisemitism that raged under Hitler's regime. At the same time, these are the times when one's identity becomes the most and only cherished thing, one's home, just like in Genik's case. He might seem stupid to have not complied with the Soviets, but it is only when one is deprived of everything in their lives that they hold on to the last thing that they have free will over. And that's what the show highlights in Genik's case.